Welcome to What CEOs Talk About. Do you wonder what CEOs talk about behind closed doors? How they bring their vision to reality? How do they overcome and succeed through adversity? We share that and so much more with each episode. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hey there, folks. My name is Martin Hunter. I am the host of What CEOs Talk About show, where we talk about translating strategy into frontline operations. Today, my guest is James Struthers. He is the founder and a lawyer at Macushlaw. We'll tell you what that stands for after. A founder of 253 Columbia. He's also a director of the board of Mission Impossible. So we'll have a link later on. You guys got to go see that. And at the pre-show, he's like, mic check, 1 2 1 2. A retired vocal and guitar artist. So for those people, James, turn your head. Is there a ponytail back there? Is there long hair? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Artists all the time, right? So a good balance of musician and legal services. That's a good combo. So thank you very much, James, for being on the show. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having me, Martin. Appreciate it.
What's the title of the show, James? What do you want to call this show?
Well, I guess it's what is a benefit company?
Ha da 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 da. We're not gonna tell anybody what it is. You have to listen to the very end. So James Macushlaw, what is that? What's the title? I was curious, and so what is it? What does it stand for?
So it's a law firm.
Well, thank you. Yeah. First of all, what is it? Yeah. Martin.
It's a law firm. Well, it's sort of a law firm. That's but the word is it's an Irish Gaelic term, and it's actually a term of endearment. It sort of means my love or my heart, my pulse. But in context, it's all the creatives on my dad's side of the family are Wilsons, and all the Wilsons are Irish, and so I wanted to use something that sort of called back to that side of my history, and try and bring some of that sort of heart forward thinker and feeler components to the way that I practice law and the way that the other lawyers here practice law. And so our brand essence is law with a pulse, which sort of ties that together. But we're trying to put a little bit more heart into the way that we practice and the way that we structure a firm to make it a better place for the lawyers, better place for the clients. So, yeah. Let's
dive into that later. What's your story? How does it start? Back in you're younger. So 1980, 1990, something like that.
Yeah, the Berlin Wall fell and I came flying out into the world. So
there you go. There you go. Do the math.
Yeah. I'm born and raised in Winnipeg. I lived in Vancouver for 7 years. I bounced around a little bit before that. I lived in Toronto when I was doing the music thing, and I'm not leaving Vancouver anytime soon. So
but that's why you're so nice. You're from Winnipeg. That's
we get that a lot.
Yeah. For those people who don't know where Winnipeg is, it's in the Midwest of Canada, what we call the birth of the eastern side of the prairies. So that's where lots of lakes. Mosquitoes are the size of birds. And for Canadians who know Winnipeg, it's also nicknamed Winterpeg. So for our Americans listener, it's the Midwest. So good. So it starts there. Tell me, so why law? Have you always had law in mind? Kind of tell me the youth story here.
Yeah, sure. I did the music thing for a while, and I hit sort of a point where I was deciding, do I rebrand and try and do a style of music that's a little bit more my feel. I was doing some pretty straight pop music. I loved writing it, but I didn't really like being that person on stage. So I was thinking about making a shift and it was really, do I start something new in the industry, or do I maybe look at another career?
Mm-hmm.
And I was between business and law, and I just thought that I was always a bit of a bookworm when I was younger. I like to read. I like to learn, and I thought that maybe having the law and shifting into business later would make more sense for me. Get a little bit more of a kind of an intellectual experience through law school, and learn about the structures within which we're operating, and then get to business a bit later. And here we are. Yeah.
So what triggered what triggered, like, I mean, we're talking about music and law, man. You want to talk about opposites. Like, what was the trigger? What was the thing that you go, you know what? This is where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, probably the biggest thing is fulfillment. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time being in the industry. It's a fun industry, a lot of great people, a lot of creative, free thinkers. But it's at a certain point, you're just sort of a cog in the machine, pumping out material, helping to sell that material. And I wanted to have something a little bit more meaningful in my day to day. And I was doing a bit of volunteering at the time. I definitely had that in my life, but I just wanted to go a little bit higher, sort of try and have an impact at a higher level. And I definitely thought I was smart, but I didn't know anything. And the more you know, the more you realize the
less you know.
little you know. So. So I decided when I was at that crossroads, I wanted to do a little bit more than make music and be on stage and be in that industry. So I was interested in making a change through another level.
And then what was what did you? Was there a trigger that said law? Because there's a lot of paths. You go, I want to contribute more. Okay, so I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you go, no, let's go to the complete other end of the spectrum, and I want to be a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny. I mean, you talk to people in the industry, and folks always say, like, it's for people who think they're smart and don't know what else to do. So you get all these strange people mid-career switching from medicine, switching from art, switching from business, from other careers into law, because they want to be pushed, they want to be challenged, they want to do this other thing. But really, it's just we're smart asses. We're not done.
That is true.
Yeah. So it's there wasn't a light bulb moment. It was just for me, I thought that business is important, but I was raised by entrepreneurs, and so I kind of had an understanding of how that worked. I'd run my music business. I'd done a bit of business when I was younger in high school and later on. But I didn't understand how the world works. I didn't understand how the government operates, how that interacts with our day to day, how to structure a society. And I just thought, go and learn the rules, and then you can try and push them in the right direction. So,
that's a good one. Yeah. Learn the rules, because that is something that I say continuously, right? Know the field that you play in, right? So what's the difference between rugby and soccer, football, right? In rugby, you're allowed to hold the ball, but if you know the rules, you know how to play the rules. Not necessarily bend the rules or break the rules, but you know how to push the limits of the rules.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's how you evaluate performance. And you say, okay, I'm going to operate at this finite level of performance. To be able to do that, you have to find that right groove so that you're going as fast as you can. Well, I shouldn't say as fast as you can, safely, right? There's a sustainable component to it. But you're understanding the law really helps you become a better citizen in regards to what you can and cannot do. It gives good direction.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't bring a device at my dinner table.
Yeah.
Mom, it doesn't matter if it's me or the kids, like, don't, those are the rules, you're going to get in trouble if you do that. So, so now you're applying your very artistic mindset to a very boxed in, anchored industry, which is law. So
Yeah.
tell me, so again, I don't want to say if there's a, so you go through, you did your bar and you did all of that. And then, so when did you say like, okay, I want to do something different. I want to offer the world something of value.
Yeah. So I had a bit of a strange path. I went, um, it may be a bit naively went to one of the biggest law firms in the country first. So I went and I summered and I articled there, and was offered a job. And at the end of the time, and my time there, I just sort of realized this is not for me. I mean, it's really top down. It's very structured, and there was a lot of appearance based aspects of the business that just didn't resonate with. A lot of people will stay just because
As you're wearing a t-shirt with a beard and long
exactly. Well, that side of the appearance for sure, but even more so. I mean, like there's a difference between quality legal services and the appearance of quality legal.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
So it was a good learning experience. I got to go see what one of these really big institutions look like, how they operate, and I was trained. I am thankful for the training I received, because some of it was really useful. Some of it wasn't very useful, and I had to untrain myself from some of it. But I was there, and then I shifted over to a firm that's a really well-known local boutique, and they're really known for their flashy, crazy ads that they put in Canadian Lawyer magazine every year, and they're viewed as a trailblazer in the industry. So they're trying to push the limits. They're trying to change the way that the industry works. And so I went there. I wanted to do some Indigenous work. That was a big part of it. But I also wanted to work at a very progressive firm that was pushing the limits of this industry, because it is, like you said, it's very boxed in. It's very structured. And I went there expecting it to really be that place that was different and pushing the limits. And I there were some great things about it. I learned a lot, met a lot of great people, had some great experiences, great file work. But it was interesting. I was sort of there saying, like, this looks a lot like the big firm that I was at. This part of what we're doing looks a lot like that. And parts of what they're doing are different. They are new, but it's probably progressive for the legal industry, but it's not that progressive. What they're doing is sort of taking the initial model and stretching it a little bit. Whereas
Gotcha.
At a certain point, I sort of said, this isn't what I was expecting. I'm not totally happy in this environment. I think we can do a lot more to make legal services affordable, to make legal practitioners more accessible, more relatable, to create better connections between clients and lawyers, and between law firms and their communities, and to employ technology and other sort of digital age tools to improving that service delivery. So it wasn't different enough.
So you turned the industry on its head. So this, like, for the people who are listening, it's not like, I hope you're really listening to what James is saying. He's like, I wasn't happy. Like, you seem like a very grateful person. You're happy. I can hear that you are fulfilled in your voice. But you were saying, yeah, okay, I get it. You know, I'm healthy. I've got my needs, but I need more. And not that a lot of people say, oh, what's my passion? What's my dedication? What's my purpose? Like, forget about that. And what I mean by that is people feel that they need to define themselves by their purpose. Don't overdo it. Don't overthink it. What are you doing? Like, how can you help? And it's as simple as that. And you are happy with the way that the legal world was helping normal citizens, like everyday people. So you said, okay, how do I change that? And you didn't point the finger. You took the bull by the horns and you said, okay, I'm a smart guy. I'm a lawyer. I made it through it. Should be smart. Should.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good way of putting it. I mean, it's there's a lot to have been thankful for at previous opportunities that I've had, and I am grateful for them. But the world's not going to change itself, so
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So let's keep going the story. Sorry for interrupting. So you're not happy. You want to help Indigenous people. So you're like, okay, how do I make this happen? So what did you do? Put a business plan together, meet with people? Like what was your thought process?
Yeah, I'd been percolating since I started at my first firm. I'd been percolating about what would I do differently? What do I like and not like about the structure? What's necessary in order for us to meet our obligations to our clients and the Law Society? And what's not necessary? What's getting in the way of affordability? What's getting in the way of better client experience? And so I'm a slow thinker, but I'm a fast actor. And after sort of a two, 3, I guess 4 years of mulling everything over, I developed a bit of a framework. And I saw an opportunity with COVID, the way that things were going, the way that we were starting to reimagine how we work with each other, forcing institutions towards digitizing, and making it easier for us to reach people anywhere and to be effective from anywhere. Especially in law, you just need your brain and a laptop. Yeah. That's all you need. You don't even need a cell phone anymore. You just need your brain and a laptop and a Wi-Fi connection. So, so when I started to see how that was going, how the world was changing, I said, it's really now or never. This is the right time to start this kind of a practice. And I imagine there are going to be a lot of other folks bubbling up over the next little while that are taking advantage of the way the world is shifting. That's going to disrupt and drive change in all types of industries. But it was the right time for me. And so I only had a few clients. Okay. So it was a bit of a risk. But things are going pretty good. We're good.
So this is fairly new. Like
this is new. Yeah.
When did you incorporate? When did I?
Yeah, we started in August. So we're only 6 months in, but there's 4 lawyers now. We've got a contract paralegal. We have a contract admin team, and we've developed a lot of interest in the market. So we're chatting with a few other folks that are thinking about joining us as well. So we could be as many as 10 by the end of the year.
And what kind of law do you practice?
My practice area is business and real estate law. So I do some corporate work, incorporating, organizing companies, share transfers, setting up partnerships, that kind of thing. Commercial is transactional, so supply agreements, service agreements, contractor agreements, distribution agreements, that type of thing. And then on the real estate side, we do at the firm a little bit of conveyancing and leasing. And my sort of niche area is this Indigenous lands, Indigenous housing work. So I do some on and off reserve lands work.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And then are you looking at staying in that area, or are you looking at growing and diversifying the legal team and bringing on specialists in the firm?
Yeah, we want people who are well suited to serving small to medium-sized businesses, nonprofits, charities, and individuals. And so there's a lot of practice areas that fit that. Okay. And right now we have a few other lawyers who have that general corporate commercial work, but one has quite a bit of expertise in franchising.
Okay.
We have one that is developing a practice area in the entertainment tech IP space. So they're looking at going more towards my old industry a little bit, which is kind of fun to watch him work at that. And then we have another lawyer that does some civil litigation, and then a little bit of immigration and family work, but really focusing on that wills and estates side of things. So,
yeah, so a good diverse portfolio you can handle within the law firm itself.
Yeah, and we're looking at adding a few people in to help opening that up, but just only a few months in to have that breadth of service offering is pretty exciting for us. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And now the question that we pose, let's put the meat in the middle. Let's answer the question. What is a benefit?
There you go. Nice. So a benefit company it's really popular in the US. This is something that's it started as a third party certification service. So B Corporation they try and quantify the impact of your operations, both positive and adverse. So what are you doing to mitigate the negative consequences of your business operations on the world, on society? And what are you doing to really provide a benefit back to society? And you can do that through your procurement practices. You can do that through your employment and HR policies and practices. You can do that through governance practices. And you can do that through driving certain behaviors internally. So the stuff, the meat and potatoes is are you digital? How are you reducing your environmental footprint?
Okay.
Are you socially conscious? How are you ensuring diversity in your business, or how are you ensuring that you're treating your employees fairly, you're compensating fairly, and so that type of model started as a certification thing. You'd apply and then you get this B Corp stamp, and that would be you can put that on your website, on all your promo materials. It's a sort of a mark that you're doing good. You're doing good for the world. And then
kind of like an ISO certification saying,
sure,
okay,
yeah, totally. And they're now just one of a number of organizations that are doing it, but that shifted and they started to go to government and say, let's take this a step further. We can only do so much with our logo on people's businesses, but how about if it was government backed? So the state of Illinois, can you set up a minor amendment to your corporate statute that allows people to register as a benefit company? They don't have to use us, B Corp. They can use any of these other organizations to certify, but the public will believe more in what you're doing if it's backed by the government. If this is a real registry item, it's enforced. There's a threat of regulatory action if you don't comply with the obligations. And
like a Better Business Bureau, kind of.
Sure.
Yeah, here's a list of Better Business, and so B Corp. Here's a list of all the B Corps that are in your area. It is still a for-profit company, correct?
Still a for-profit company. Yeah, they're just trying to marry. So now we're getting into the weeds a little bit with.
That's all right. That's all right. That's what people want to hear, right? They're like, okay, I'm interested. What's this about? How does this work? That's all right. That's all right. Let's go in the weeds.
Well, I love this stuff. It's a major intellectual curiosity of mine, is how do we make the corporate form work better for humanity? Because it's the source of a lot of benefits, is also the source of a lot of ills. And it's the shareholder primacy thing. Board of directors' responsibility is to act in the best interests of the company. And you can make that narrow or you can make it broad. And the way that U.S. theorists have interpreted it, and it's Hansman and Crackman are the two old school guys that sort of furthered this shareholder primacy model, where their belief is what's best for the company is what maximizes profits for the shareholder. But that's not actually the law. It's not even the law in Delaware. There's some case law that suggests that that's an important part of it, but it's not the law. And in Canada, they go even further than leaving it open. They say companies need to be good corporate citizens, and so it's already open to for-profit businesses to make considerations about the adverse consequences of their operations on the world, on people and the planet, and to make positive contributions through the pursuit of business endeavors.
That is so. Can you repeat that slowly? Because I think that is it is fundamental that people understand the difference, because this old school, this is what destroyed oil and gas. This is what destroyed mining. People think that the shareholder is the number one beneficiary, where I'm a huge advocate of humanizing work, right? We put numbers and all that good stuff, but who drives the business? An organization is a group of people. It just happens to have an incorporation attached to it. Robotics are not there yet. We're still, 95, 6% plus of businesses are 90% human driven.
Yeah.
So if you treat your employees like you do your clients, and you really realize that that is the driving force. And I'm not saying that you should shower them with gold and jewels, just to say, celebrate an honest day's work and do everything that you can to leave the area better than you left it. That's as simple as that. There's people that overthink it. And can you please repeat that? Sorry, I went a bit on a tangent there. Can
No,
you please
that's
repeat
great.
what you said, the last sentence you said, because it is so important.
What I don't exactly know what sentence you mean, but
When you said the definition of what a socially responsible corporation should be.
yeah, so well, it's incorporating that consciousness of the impact of your operations, both trying to mitigate adverse consequences and provide actual positive benefits back to the communities within which you operate. I think that's really operationalizing benefits is an important way forward.
Yeah. Making the world better through businesses.
Yeah.
People think that it's one or the other. They think that, oh, I have to destroy business to reduce greenhouse gases. I don't want to get into politics here, but there is the opportunity to do both at the same time when you put the effort to it.
Yeah.
Like, you're a prime example. Like, you're taking I mean, prostitution and lawyers. I mean, those are two oldest trades that there are out there. I mean, there's always been somebody defending somebody else's rights. And so, and you're kind of going, let's put it on its head. So
it was really interesting, Martin. I told the Law Society I wanted to do this. I was talking to them, and initially there was a naming requirement that was sort of in the way of moving forward with this, but that's since been changed. And so I just went ahead and applied, and we're in the process of becoming a benefit company. The registry's a few months behind on their stuff right now, but so I go to Law Society. I tell them, is there going to be a problem? Are you going to oppose this? Is there an issue with what we're planning to do? And they went to the policy team. They had a discussion about it, and they came back and they said, we just don't understand how can you provide benefit to the community when your obligation under our statute is to only provide legal services. And it just was so.
Sorry, for those who are listening, my eyes just went bright open. I was like, really? That's what? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was illuminating, because to them, and I'm sure that's the same for a lot of business folks. It's how can we provide benefits? We're in the business of making money. But the Law Society and they're regulating a profession for the purpose of protecting the public and their approaches. How can you possibly be a benefit to society? That's pretty funny.
Oh, so I kind of revert back to farming, right?
Yeah.
When people say that, how can you look at the farmer? What does he do? He takes care of his land, harvests his carrots, harvests his vegetables, fruits, but he wants to keep his land prosperous. Therefore, balances. A lot of people, here's the equation of anything that is life, is profit plus sustainability equals prosperity. You, me, my neighbor, everybody wants to live a prosperous life. A company wants to live a prosperous life. So you have to marry profit, because without profit, you can't gain, you can't increase, you can't add anything, or you can't contribute with extra if you're not making a certain amount of profit to be able to reharvest and cycle. But then there has to be sustainability. You and I work from Monday to Friday so that we can service and pay for the activities that we want to do on Saturday and Sunday. It's just that's the sustainable model. But that equals prosperity. When a company is a safe company, let's take mining. high risk, high labor. They invest highly in safety because the more people work, the more profitable they'll be. So if you put people first and safety first in that combination, and you don't say safety first, you say safe production, there's an action in there. So I want you to work safely so that you can come tomorrow and the day after and the day after. So it's not about having to pay dues. It's just being preventive in the way that you do business instead of having mitigation and having to pay for and using lawyers to defend an illicit action. You say, oh, I got in trouble, I got to get a lawyer.
Yeah.
How about you get a lawyer to not get in trouble?
Yeah.
How about you get your lawyer to help you define what a B Corp should be doing, right? I mean, that's just, sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
No, that's great. Get on it. That's what we're doing here. No, I think you're right. It's we should be thinking about preventing harm and preventing challenges in the future through our operations now, for sure. That makes a lot of sense.
And the consumer today is an educated consumer, right? Yep. If, and hopefully I don't get into problems with it, but Nestle that got into a lot of problems with water and stuff, people go, oh no, I'm not buying this. That they're opinionated and say, well, they've taken a whole bunch of water out of the Great Lakes. Yeah. So I'm not, it's real or it's not real. The perception is there. So the now millennial force of the world is an educated consumer and an ethical consumer most of the time.
Yeah. It's you see it a lot with the rise of ESG and how those factors are being used in making decisions at some of the biggest investment company levels now, pension plans and insurance companies. They're paying attention, and it's often called the injustice system in the legal industry because it's not that effective, and the court of public opinion is a much better driver of behavior than is the criminal code. So it's good to see that people are paying attention, and it can be a bit scary for folks out there in the world sometimes. Toes are easy to step on, but I think overall it's a good thing.
People forget what law is about. Law is the definition of culture, and that's what it is. People think that law defines culture. It's the other way around. What was legal back then when I grew up, wearing seatbelts was whatever. Drinking in a car and driving, the culture has evolved, therefore put rules in place that where it was unacceptable for people to die because of somebody who was drunk.
Yeah.
So the culture defines the legal system.
Yeah.
So with enough consumer demand, which is the industry, which is the same thing. So the more educated and prosperous workforce we have by being employed by B Corp will then define a statute within the culture that then will define law. Yeah. That was deep. Wow. Pretty good, eh? For a not lawyer.
That's great. You sure you're not a lawyer? You going to law school?
No. Karma. Oh, karma. I was a bad boy when I was a kid. I'm learning.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's okay.
So let's move on to your other endeavor, which is 253 Columbia.
Sure. So we're an office share specifically for lawyers. I'm looking out at it right now. You can see it through the window. It's our idea, and to be honest, we don't know whether 253 is going to work or not. Macushlaw has been really successful so far, but 253, it's a pandemic right now, so people aren't really looking for office space, Martin. but what we wanted to do was. And we're going to get back into Macushlaw a little bit.
It's all right. Go wherever you want it. This is your show.
one of the things I didn't like, I was telling you, I'd like to observe and pick up on stuff that's been percolating on this. And one of the things I didn't like is that one of the reasons why firms are set up the way they are is because they have this overhead demon on their backs. They carry a really expensive lease. They have art on the wall. They have furniture payments to make. They have a bunch of staff, admin staff, and it's not all contributing to a better quality product or a better client experience. There's a lot of waste in that overhead, and especially with COVID, us shifting online and thinking about things a little bit differently, the way we interact with our clients, the way that we go to court, the way that we get documents signed. You don't need an office space all the time anymore. And that's part of why legal fees are so much money. Part of it's market, and we can't change the market for legal services completely. You have to sort of have your prices tethered to what's normal and expected.
Gotcha.
But what we want to do with Macushlaw as well is bring the price of services down by getting rid of a bunch of that needless overhead that's not making your experience better. It's not making your product better. And 253 is for those that want to run their own practice. They like having their own business freedom, and want to be close to the court. So we're expecting we'll have a lot of criminal lawyers because we're just down the street from One Main, and family lawyers. There's a family court there as well, where you pay a really small fee. You can use a desk a few days a month. If you need it more, you pay for the extra days. There's a meeting pod in here. You can bring 2 or 3 clients out to meet with them in person, sign documents, prepare for court. We have a printer. We have a document preparation area, and all that. It's here, and we've also built a community now where we have a library. We're sharing practice resources with each other. We're talking about files on a no-name basis to help educate each other, to expedite the speed at which we can provide high-quality legal services. And we're not all paying for all this huge bulk of overhead that especially for, we're never going to compete with Blake's or McCarthy's or Bennett Jones. That's not who we're going after. But for those that don't need a massive institution through which to obtain legal services, they need affordable, quality legal services. This provides a lot of those what would typically be really high overhead expenses at a really low cost. So for a couple $100 a month, you can come and use this space and use it to up the quality of services that you're providing without having to carry a $2,000, $1,500 lease, and all the office equipment and all that stuff. So
great acoustic in your
great acoustic. Yeah. And there's like privacy barriers at the desk, so you can't see what people are working on, and we have these soundproof meeting pods and phone booths so that you can have the confidential calls without people eavesdropping.
So that is amazing. Now, legal, when we talk about law, there's lots of human interaction, right? So because that's what the business is how do you create an agreement between 2 companies? Therefore, there's two groups of people. How do you help somebody fix a relationship? Because law is mostly about fixing relationships. Either you define a relationship or you fix a relationship, right? So that's why everything is our assumptions and and understandings and interpretations. So how do you this B Corp and 253? What's your thoughts on the future? Like, what do you think? How do you bring back the humanity after COVID? Right? Because I agree, digitalization is great, save a lot of money. But man, oh man, I'm tired of being in my home office. Like,
yeah. And that option is available. I mean, if people want to rent desks full time and be in here every day with us, that's an option for sure. But I think what we've done is shown that you don't have to have it all the time.
Gotcha.
to be a high quality service provider. And I think, I mean, this wasn't just COVID. I think it was starting to happen before, but people are also realizing you don't need to wear a suit to be smart. You don't need to drive a nice car to be wealthy. You don't, there's all these appearance things are starting to chip away a little bit. And I think consumers are focusing more on value,
Agreed.
not on the appearance of value. And so that's, I mean, we're pretty casual in the office. You'll never catch me in a suit again.
Not
Maybe a
even a
tux.
tort. Wedding day, maybe.
Yeah.
Wedding day, maybe.
Yeah. Throw me in a tux. No, we're casual and we don't think that that the suit makes you a better lawyer.
Agreed.
If the situation demands, we're not going to pretend like we can change the world completely. You gotta put it on once in a while. But you also don't need to create this barrier between you and the client with these really curt, severe emails. You can be friendly, you can be personable, and you can still be a trusted, intelligent advisor. So some of those things we're trying to bring the law with a pulse thing is we're trying to have it bubble up in everything that we do. Where to draw that line, we're still learning, right? Like we're a young company and it's hard at the beginning to be taken seriously in the first place, but when you're being a little more casual and such, it can be a hurdle to get over, but we're having great success with it so far. We get a lot of feedback from our clients that we actually understand what you're saying in our meetings. We can read this document. We really appreciate that you're explaining this in a way we understand. We don't feel like you're talking down to us. We really try and remove that barrier and treat our client like human beings. We're not smarter. We have specific knowledge about a very specific part of the world, and that's part of our job, being able to explain it and use it to help our clients in a way that is actually beneficial for them. So,
in the episode that I recorded with my lawyer, Justin Levine, and the title is called Positive Pessimism, and how to be pessimist in everything that you do to mitigate risk, right? And so what we talked about was also the power of having good relationships, right?
Yeah.
So he mentions, we talked about, and say a lot of people are afraid of lawyers. They come to the lawyer's office, everybody's dressed to the nines, $5,000 suits. You got a kick-ass receptionist who you pay a lot of money because you want top of the line person who just, rocks the front desk, right? And excuse me. And people are very pushed back. I'm just a normal person. I didn't have to go through this, go through that. And they either completely bend or they put up this great big front of saying, well, I want this, I want that, instead of viewing their lawyers as a human being who's like, okay, let's build a relationship. What can I help you with?
Yeah.
And so I want this. Just, well, what is it that you want?
Yeah.
Out of the relationship. So no, that bringing down the barriers of that. I mean, it's the same reason why I left Toronto as well. There's just this rat race that I found very difficult to, I remember one time being on the GO train from Mississauga to downtown Toronto. And this guy puts a tall gentleman, you get to kind of see people that get on the train at the same time, and you kind of get to recognize people. And he goes to put his backpack on his shoulder, and as he swings his backpack, he almost hits this lady and this mature woman in the face. So I kind of put my hand to stop it. He's like, hey, he looks at me and goes, what the fuck, man? And I was like, dude, like you almost hit this lady. And all humanity was lost in that train.
Yeah. Because
people wanted to get on and off as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And that kind of defines like wanting to be part. And I don't want to shoot down the big people who have big dreams of being big lawyers and doing big deals. That's okay. You can have those big dreams, not at the detriment of your humanity, in my opinion.
Yeah.
just because you make millions of dollars should not make you less of a human being or therefore belittle others.
Yeah.
Every person is created equal. And in my opinion, not everybody is born in the same opportunity.
Yeah.
Definitely, I treat people the way that I want to be treated. King or fool, king or street sweeper, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Anyway,
Very Rawlsian of you. I love it.
well, it's true. I bumped into Justin Trudeau. Or Justin Trudeau bumped into me just before he got elected at Pearson,
Yeah.
and he wasn't paying attention. He was on his BlackBerry, and he bumps into me, and he just kind of looks up, and I look up, and he's like, "I'm so sorry." I was like, "Yeah, you should focus on what you're doing, right? You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to walk into something a lot harder than me if you don't pay attention." I couldn't care less who he was, chief of the opposition or whatever. Now he's the prime minister, but and that's my view of life. So I'm glad that you're doing that, James. I really do. And to quote like Spider-Man, with great responsibilities, or with great, how's it go, Spider-Man again? With great powers, great responsibilities.
Yeah.
So if you're going to lead this, there's a lot of responsibilities that fall on your shoulders. So don't take this lightly. I think this is a great thing that you're doing.
We're trying.
Let's talk a little bit about Mission Impossible.
Sure. Yeah. So MP is it's an organization that provides transitional employment to folks experiencing poverty. So you live in Vancouver, you know what it's like along Georgia Street here, West Hastings, East Hastings, and the surrounding area. And we're right on Columbia, so we're kitty corner to Atira. We got people sleeping in the alley here all the time. We're around.
For the American listeners, what we're talking about is very similar to Skid Row in LA. So if you are East Side, East Hastings, what James is referring to is very much like Skid Row.
Yeah, the Tenderloin or what have you, for sure. It's dark. It's not dangerous per se. It's just there's a lot of people that have lost their way, and in Canada we don't have the luxury of good temperature across the country. So there's a lot of folks who train hop and hitchhike and get out here, and this is our landing pad. And it's a community, and it's a good thing that there's a community. A lot of people experiencing the same thing, and there's some bad stuff about there being a community because it reinforces some of the problematic behaviors and social circumstances that a lot of these folks are trying to escape. So, Mission Possible is it started as a church organization. It sort of moved a little bit away from that tradition and more towards. They don't really care so much about the faith of the people who are involved in delivering the services. What they care about is, and I'm a good example. I'm agnostic, so this, and I'm on the board. They let me on the board, so
an agnostic Irishman. Oh my God!
Grandma Wilson rolling in her grave right now. But what we do, and I shouldn't say we because I'm just on the board. I'm an advisor. I'm just helping out with what they need me to, high level risk assessment, that type of thing. But the hard workers, the people who are running this organization, provide info sessions, and then they do some initial training, and then they have a social enterprise that runs a number of businesses. The big ones are security and caretaking. So. Maintenance, so cleaning up in the alleyways, a lot of city contracts and stuff like that. We take people, we train them up, we get them into the program, sort of move through a number of levels. You can become manager or higher up in the chain. And then our ultimate goal is housing and then transition out to another employer. So there's resume building throughout this process. There's a lot of subsidiary or ancillary assistance provided. How do we get you in proper housing? How do we get you the medical care that you need? And so it's a pretty big team, and it's been growing. We've got 100 and some people in the program, and that's growing all the time. and it's just amazing work. It's dignified, and it's well-meaning, and we see a lot of success because it's not just a drop-in center. We need drop-in centers, and they're all over the place here. We absolutely need drop-in centers, but this model of more sustainable, systemic change to a person's circumstances and well-being has been very successful. So I'm honored to be involved, and I don't really do a lot. I mean, I help them fundraise and I give some advice on the board, but they do amazing work.
Like I've said before, there's pride in an honest day's work.
Yeah.
And when you can give that pride back to somebody, saying, hey, I contributed, and there's a lot of people that don't feel good because they feel like they're not contributing. Right?
Yeah.
So that actively contribution. Oh my goodness. With that said, what I always say, leaders are learners, not leaders are readers. Now you're a power reader, you're a lawyer. You know how to read. What on your entrepreneurial journey right now, what are you looking to learn? What are you actively seeking to improve on?
It's really the people leadership side of things. I have some great ideas, and I think and we're doing some very interesting things in the legal industry. But I am not a natural leader of people. So learning how to identify what the team here needs, how I can support them better, how to encourage people in the right direction, and kind of weed out some of the negative behaviors that can harm a community or an organization. That's something I'm learning about, and welcome any resources that you have.
All right. So first of all, you don't say good or negative. You say at risk or
there you
improvement.
Go. There you go. Perfect. Lesson number 1.
So you know what? Let's put it in the show so people listen.
Sure.
So when you provide feedback, you always provide it in 2 ways. You don't say, hey, I'd like to tell you some good feedback. When you say good feedback, everybody's excited, right? And when you say, well, I'd like to critique. So all of a sudden you get this really defensive position. Who are you to tell me what to do? Exactly. So you buckle down and you say, what are you going to do? Right? So you close your arms, you close your body, close your mind. So you change the language. So being a lawyer, you'll know about, intent and assumption. So I'd like to provide you with some success feedback. So I gave you direction. You've achieved the direction. You've achieved the work to hit the direction. Therefore, let's celebrate that success, right? And then we use a format called CAR, context, action, result. Context, yesterday, James, when we were at the meeting, the action, you really were empowering when you told Julie that she did a really great job and faced adversity, and then she did this. Result, so context, action, result. So James, we've got this culture, and one of the core values that we have on the wall is empower our employees. So you've really helped hit the result. So we have context, action, result. You got success feedback. Then you go in the critiquing or negative or at risk. You say, hey, James, can I provide some guidance? Can I offer guidance?
Yeah.
Nobody's ever going to say no to that. Hey, so you use the same model. Hey, yesterday, James, context at the meeting, you interrupted Julie. What do you think that did to her against the core values that we? Oh, then I'm bringing you into you learning what needs to be improved. So for the listeners, people pay me a lot of money to listen to.
Perfect.
So, in regards to B Corp, what reference material is out there that you would suggest people to see? Say, hey, listen, I'm really interested in this benefits company. Where do the people go? What do they find out? Where's the best resources to look at?
Well, if you want to look at the third-party certification process, just go to the B Corp website. They've got everything there. You can set up a profile and then log in and actually see the impact assessment process. It's great. It's interactive. It's all web-based. I mean, the statute side or the legal side, there's some great blogs out there. We're going to be posting a blog soon. Our website is still under development, Martin. So you caught us at very early days here. But we'll be writing a blog on it when we get our status in the next few days here. But
we'll wait until we post it.
Yeah, perfect.
There you go. We'll give you a couple of weeks.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's we'll send you the link.
Well, everything's going to be underneath, so people can just on the website. They'll go to your episode of the podcast. They'll go at the bottom and they'll go, here's where we're at. So, how do people get a hold of you? If you're okay with sharing your information.
Yeah, absolutely. You can send me an email. My email is james@macushlaw.ca. So it's MACUSHLAW.ca. And the website is macushlaw.ca. I'm not going to put my phone number on here just yet. No. No. I was going to say shush. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, there is a ton of things. Usually I stop the conversation and there's a lesson. So we've got, if you've been interested in this conversation, although it's been focused on what James uses to be an entrepreneur, which is the law. Think about what he's done. He's taken something that's very rigid and anchored, turned it around because he didn't feel comfortable in the way that it was going. People are adhering to his change because they see the benefit in their day-to-day lives. So he's not just recruiting people because of the values that he's put forth. People will follow what they believe, not necessarily the money. They will follow what they believe. And therefore creating a workforce that has morality, that people underestimate the power of morale. Morale is the motivation that somebody uses to fulfill duties and circum adversity. So by having a great culture and great vision and a just cause, you always get 10% more productivity out of people. And that's what people forget. And then on the other side, you're developing a new clientele that says, why should I pay $1,000 when I can get something that is more comfortable and less expensive? Okay, so I don't want to say you're the Toyota Corolla, something very reliable, but it's not, takes you for ages and you'll have a Toyota Corolla forever, like a Honda Civic. But
I'll take it. Those vehicles run forever, man.
That's right.
If we're the Toyota Corolla of legal services, we're doing something right. So
that's right. Toyota Corolla and Honda Civics are two most sold cars in the world.
Exactly. Yeah.
So with that said, I mean, there's just so many things. We got B Corp you can learn for. 253, how to minimize your impact, how to do sharing of information and documentation. How can you think of ways to improve the performance of your business by taking numbers away? And that's something I advocate all the time is what points can I take away as an operator, as a chief operating officer? Like, how do I keep the culture, keep the decision-making as close as possible to the ground so that we save money? And saving money means that you can take that money and reinvest it somewhere else. And that if you're not wasting it on art, now don't get me wrong, if you want to spend money on art and you enjoy art, and that's great, right? So, but don't pass that bill down to your customers and your clients, right? So, great. But thank you very much, James. This was, like you see, an hour has passed and boom, done, right?
And by real quick. It was a pleasure, Martin. Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you very much. And then with that said, I'm Martin Hunter. I'm the host of What CEOs Talk About, where we translate strategies into frontline operations. Oh, damn it. I forget it all the time. Please like, subscribe, all that stuff that you're supposed to do. Tick the bell, whatever my boy tells me to do. So thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy your day.
Thanks for tuning in to What CEOs Talk About. Make sure to click subscribe to get notified about future episodes, or check us out at www.whatceostalkabout.com.